Who you got in the rematch, Eubank or Benn?
Shit. That's one of the best fights I've seen in the last like 3 or 4 years. They're leaving a part of themselves in that ring. So be it, it ends up being a trilogy because of what happens, and so be it. What would Brandon Adams look like against Vergil Ortiz? That's the honest conversation. That's the conversation. It's not far-fetched. But the business has a way of pushing people away that have earned their positions and trying to put them out to pasture. Just put this racehorse down or ignore that this racehorse doesn't exist.
We've got coming up Anthony Yarde, David Benavidez. It's going to be a main event November 22nd.
Anthony has a lot of things that can give David a really hard time. Movement, IQ, athleticism, speed. We've been in the ring with David Benavidez. He's a very, very big man. He's a very, very, very big light heavyweight. I don't know how he ever made super middleweight. He genuinely has a chip on his shoulder. That's why he is called the monster. He's got a cold demeanor, man, like a gangster.
Or Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr.
I'll say this about Brian Norman. I'm a fan. He's like a throwback fighter. He's like a Hagler, Curry, like Joe McKellen, Tommy Hearns, like a real gritty, grindy man. He's got that dog in him. When both of these young men fight, I'm going to make sure that I have my evening cleared to watch them on TV.
It is Ashley Fissenden from Notjustboxing. I'm with Coach Trevor Sambrano. How you doing, Coach?
Another day in the gym. It's Friday. We got Lawrence King fighting next October 18th at Thunder Studios in Long Beach. So we're just wrapping up his camp.
How's he looking?
We've had a wonderful preparation for the whole camp. Lawrence has got a new promoter behind him, DMG. He's very excited. They believe in him. We were given a great window to get prepared, and he's actually fighting for an NABF title, which will put him back in the top 10 rankings. I believe is it the WBO or WBA? It's hard for me to keep track. It's probably bad on my part, but yeah, he's in a great position. We want to put him in business, and hopefully next year, by the end of next year, we're fighting names that you know.
In terms of light heavyweights in America, is Lawrence ranked like he's top 3, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a number 3 light heavyweight in America right now. But at the end of the day, it's who's doing business, and so the majority of the business is being done overseas in the UK. There's obviously business here with David Morrell and David Benavidez. We're open to all these fights. We'd love to hear from Yarde, Joseph Pampaloni. Was it William Pampaloni or Joseph Pampaloni in Australia? Willie Hutchinson is another guy that comes to name. There's so many great light heavyweights, especially overseas. I mean, I feel like that you guys breed big men out there, and that's where the majority of work is. So we'd love the opportunity. We're actually willing to go over the pond and fight. So if something makes sense, Lawrence Team King is open for it.
So Lawrence's opponent, can you tell us a bit about him?
Yeah, he's a Puerto Rican kid from Puerto Rico. He's 10-1. His big fight was with Khalil Cole. Khalil Cole is with Matchroom. He did go the distance with Khalil for 6 rounds, so he's proven to be durable. That's his only loss in his record. Watching him fight, we know that he's going to come to fight. He's an athletic kid. He's got one of those long, lean bodies where he can hit you from long distance, hit you from range. But we're out there to make a statement. We want to win in fashion. It's not just winning. Lawrence's last fight, we didn't have that because we had a really bad weight cut. That's just being honest. All prior to fights like that, Lawrence had an incredible fight on the last Showtime card for PBC. We were just on a string of just knockouts, stoppages. And last time, we went the distance. We want to get back to what we were doing better. We had a great camp. We're prepared.
What happened with the preparation with the weight cut then? Was it just a bit of a mishap, or was there someone new in camp? Things went a little bit?
To be honest, there's a moment of inactivity for about 4 or 5 months. And these guys, if you got a light heavyweight, it's naturally a big man as it is. So, your light heavyweight can quickly become a cruiserweight and hopefully not become a heavyweight, right? You had to fight for, I believe, 4 or 5 months, and then we got a call 32 days out. So the camp became more about the weight cut than actually getting ready for camp. This camp's been much different. We're locked in on the habits of our opponent. There's a lot of things that he does that I feel like Lawrence will feed on. So it's having that time. It's also having, the new promoter believe in him, give us, access to sparring partners, a budget for sparring partners, a place to have camp, even meal prep and so on. So, shout outs to DMG, David, they're supporting him. They're doing a lot of business right now in Southern California with Top Rank. But yeah, we're really happy with them. And, I believe this is our moment. And we've got a buffer to shine.
So we've got coming up Anthony Yarde, David Benavidez. It's going to be a main event November 22nd. Who do you think wins that?
To me, it's an incredible fight. I mean, look at Anthony Yarde's fight against Beterbiev. I mean, the one thing about Anthony and Tunde is that you can't really count them out. I mean, for a minute, everybody is sort of hard on them, I think, because of the Kovalev fight. It kind of loses my memory. But Anthony Yarde has proven to be that guy. He's an elite level fighter. He's an elite level thinker. He's got a great team behind him. The team has, a loads of experience. I don't know why somebody would be so critical of them. Lawrence actually is we have a big history of David Benavidez. We've been in David Benavidez's camp 3 or 4 times. He thinks that Anthony has a lot of things that can give David a really hard time.
Like what?
Particularly movement, IQ, athleticism, speed, hitting you with a shot that you don't see. Now, we've never been in the ring with Anthony Yarde. We've been in the ring with David Benavidez or Lawrence has. He's a very, very big man. He's a very, very, very big light heavyweight. I don't know how he ever made super middleweight. To me, the thing that I think that's going to come and be the factor is going to be size. But I do expect there to be a hell of a fight, and I'm kind of hoping to see a tug of war that was better than the Andrade David fight, because Anthony Yarde is pretty sharp with his feet, sharp with his position, sharp with his distance. But I'm going to go with David Benavidez. But I'm also an American guy. I haven't been in the ring with Anthony Yarde, or I haven't been in a gym with Anthony Yarde. Maybe if I had more time with Anthony Yarde, I'd pick him. So that's just my bias.
And obviously you said you've shared a few camps with David Benavidez. Can you give us any stories on it and how Lawrence even did with him?
Yeah, Lawrence, look, Jose said that Lawrence is one of the best people that he's ever seen David in with, and it's certainly some of the best work that we've got. The only work that I can kind of keep it comparable to is with Canelo Alvarez. So Canelo and David have been the marks of the best work that we've ever had. What I say about David is a consummate professional. He's very dedicated to his craft. He shows up, he does what he's supposed to do, he puts in the work, he's locked in. There's not a lot of joking going around, there's not a lot of playing. It's definitely like work, and he shares some of the same similarities with Canelo. I think the one thing I can say about David is that, like, he genuinely has a chip on his shoulder. So when you have a fighter that has a chip on his shoulder that's eager to prove or eager to beat the shit out of you, that's why he is called the monster. So that doesn't mean that Lawrence wouldn't like to fight him. Shit, we would love to fight him. We've expressed that to their team before. We're only here for big fights. We want our own legacy and so on. But yeah, David's a hell of a fighter. As far as a specific story, no, but he's got a cold demeanor, man. Like he's like it almost comes off like a gangster, So.
Yeah, even I watched his face-off in New York with Anthony Yarde, and the respect was there. But they were like, we know what we're going to do. We're going to get in there and punch each other's heads in. Like they were both very much calm. Like you could feel the presence of both of them in the room. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing too. Anthony Yarde has shitloads of experience. I mean, he's bringing he's a veteran, and people need to look at him as such. And I don't think he's going to be an easy guy. Any guy that gets in the first of all, any guy that gets in the ring would better be, because that's a whole nother story. Just being just a monster, being the monster, right? So, Anthony Yarde isn't scared of anything. I mean, you got to be really real about these things, especially when you're dealing with top 10, top 15 fighters in the world. They're different kinds of men. They're the alpha males, and they're going there. They all got a chip on their shoulder. So I'm really excited about the fight. Like, I definitely can't wait to watch it. So.
And did you know, so Yarde got the call, did he want to fight Benavidez? He was having a massage. They literally finalised contracts, everything. They did it all in hours.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can see, and that's the thing about Anthony Yarde deserves all these. He deserves everything. He deserves that platform, Riyadh, all that stuff. And it makes sense because there's a guy that's paid his dues that gets a call like that everybody would hope to get a call like that for, and he's ready to rock and roll, and he's ready to go. So.
So also Abdullah Mason's on the card. He's fighting a guy from England too, Sam Noakes. Obviously, what's your experience with Abdullah Mason? Do you think he gets the win?
Abdullah's absolutely, to me, kind of proven to be like, the next possible it kid. I mean, every time we've watched him, step up, he's done what he's supposed to do. There's a local Southern California kid that Angelo Robelo, I watched him fight. Look, out of all those kids, whether it be Shushu or Abdullah, they're there for a reason. They've got pedigree. They've got the Olympic experience. They've got, mentorships from Bud. They got mentorships from Shakur. When moments like that happen and they put themselves in these moments that define their career, I expect Abdullah to have his night. But I also know that Dylan's he's no slouch either. I mean, I've been watching him too. It's kind of like, and that's the most exciting thing about boxing, is that you have both these young men that come from high pedigree that you're going to put in together, and you're going to see who's going to win. I think with us, like I said, I'm a Southern California guy. I only know what's in front of me, so I'm going to go with Abdullah on that. But say it was an American against Moses Ituama or something, I'd go with Moses in a heartbeat. It just kind of matters of what I've seen. So right now I'm rocking with Abdullah.
The fight I'm excited for, Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr.
Yeah.
Everyone all of a sudden has written off Devin Haney.
Yeah, it's not fair to look. It's not fair to write off Devin Haney, and you know, you kind of there's a little presupposition where you say, hey, everybody's written off Devin Haney. Look, he got in a tough fight with a guy that he had, I believe, 3 amateur fights with. I think they were back and forth for the most part. They intimately knew each other because they had fought each other in the amateurs before. And there's probably seeds like that disseminate in your consciousness a little bit if you know someone has beat you. I mean, I certainly know that. You know, I remember everybody that beat me or beat me up and so forth, right? Hurt me. And so probably some of that was going on. But yeah, you should not. It's unfair to say that Devin's not this guy. I mean, Devin's had these incredible performances. Gosh, even looking at the Loma fight, which was very tit for tat and very close, but you know, I'm not a judge. Devin did edge it though, and I could see how the judges saw it, or maybe even see it as a draw. But I didn't see Loma winning. But you know, when you can actually have a performance like that against Loma, I don't know why you would count them out. If I was Brian Norman's team, I'd expect Devin to come and box. I expect him to move. You kind of saw that in the last fight that he had. I expect him to be on that stick, you know, picking his positions. And I wouldn't expect just to have this, you know, that you're going to go in there and walk him down. They know that. They're expecting you to go walk them down. Now, I'll say this about Brian Norman. I'm a fan. I mean, he's got like something that you know, he's like a throwback fighter. He's like a Hagler, you know, a Curry, like a Joe McKellen, you know, Tommy Hearns, like a real gritty, grindy dude that, you know, man, he's got that dog in him. So to me, if I had to choose, I'm leaning towards Brian Norman, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Devin doesn't put a clinic on him. So you know, but I'm rocking with, like, I know that when both of these young men fight, I'm going to stop everything and make sure that if I'm watching you live and I'm not putting it off, then that means that I'm a fan. And both those guys, when they fight, you know, I'm going to make sure that I have my evening cleared to watch them on TV. And definitely don't count out Brian Norman, and I wouldn't count out Devin either.
So last time I spoke to you was right before Canelo Crawford, and Brandon, obviously you were there in the gym. I was there for the sparring that day, and put on a performance of, he got 100k bonus, performance of the night. Fight of the night was obviously in Billy Martinez. But anyway, all of that's happened. He's got all of this going on, right? He's got all the momentum after the fight. Is there any fight news coming?
Right now, it's been pretty quiet for the most part. There's been a little bit of a tit for tat going back between Team Virgil Ortiz. Obviously, Virgil Ortiz has a fight against Lubin right now, so you know, I imagine that their team wants to focus on that. You know, Brandon had made a great video where he's at the golf course, and you know, they'd asked about Virgil's performance against Sergey, right? Which was, you know, he was dropped twice in the fight. Look, shit happens. It was a while ago. Sergey's a very difficult fighter. He's a warrior. He comes in there to every fighter says they're going to come in there to die, but you know, maybe Margarito comes to mind. Brandon Rios had that with him, and Boyacek has that same thing. He's just relentless. He doesn't stop. It's not an easy kill. Judging Virgil's you know, performance against him, I think might be a little biased, and you know, but listen, I also want to, you know, run full circle here. Brandon just fought a common opponent that he had, that he struggled with, that he was knocked down twice with, that a lot of people thought that Boyacek could have pulled off the upset and won. When you knock someone down in 2 rounds, that's a 2-point round. That's how you're already up essentially 4 rounds straight. You can't tell me that you don't think Sergey at least won another 2 rounds for a possible draw, and possibly a number 3, which would have gave him the win. When talks like of Brandon Adams go down, that, you know, hey, what would Brandon Adams look like against Virgil Ortiz? That's the honest conversation. That's the conversation that's not far-fetched. Rick Miragon, who is the manager of Virgil, it's made a comment that we have a better chance of watching, I think, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson fight. All right, when you say something like that, it's actually on Instagram. You know, it's kind of unfair. You need to keep it real to the boxing fans, keep it real to the people that keep the sport going forward. Because the truth is that if you're looking forward to Virgil and Lubin, which I believe that Virgil pulls off the win, then that's an incredible stylistically matched up fight to watch Brandon Adams versus Virgil. They have a common opponent. They both know what they're doing, but the business has a way of pushing people away that have earned their positions and trying to put them out to pasture, which, you know, basically like, hey, just put this racehorse down, or ignore that this racehorse doesn't exist, so that we don't have to take a tough fight like that.
Is there any other fighters potentially that you want right now?
I mean, anybody with the belt makes sense for Brandon. Anybody that's going to propel his career forward. All the champions, you know, Xander. I always butcher saying the Russian's name, so I'm not going to stop. I just read that Fedor just pulled out of the Thurman fight because of because of hand injury. Obviously, I think they're probably going to revisit that fight when Fedor gets healthy. But yeah, we'd love to fight whoever the winner is of Fedor and Thurman. I'm sorry, Keith. I'm a fan of you too. So yeah, I mean, these are all great fights that make sense. We don't want to go backwards. You know, we'll definitely stay on if a fight presents itself that makes sense, that's on our level, then yeah, we want to take that as well. It's not like we just want to fight the champions. So hey, Conor too. Conor Benn's out there. He makes a lot of sense for Brandon Adams. He's got a big fan base. I know he's got his own thing going on, so we don't, want to. All these guys, all the 54-pounders that matter right now, have fights. So Brandon's sort of in a position that he's sort of waiting to see what happens. But we'd love to go over to the UK. I've been out to Birmingham before. I've been out to London, a couple times when Malik Scott fought Derek Chisora, Birmingham to help Zach Parker. We love the fans out there. We'd love to have Brandon Adams out there. We'd love the opportunity to fight in front of what I believe is the best, boxing fan base in the world. So.
If you struggle to get him match in the next few months, are you going to want to at least keep him busy? It must be so hard as a team to sort of, obviously, like you said, you don't want to regress, but you don't want to leave him out the ring for a whole year, right?
Yeah, so we've been very blessed. Brandon, I think, has fought 4 times in the last 16 months, so he has been pretty active. But no, you're absolutely right. Brandon, we want to keep him going. There's a lot of fights out there that make sense if we're the A side, but what I'm sort of, putting out there is we're willing to take the toughest B sides as possible. I joke around and call Brandon B-side Brandon Adams because we're there to upset. We'll go to your backyard, we'll go to your ring, we'll go to your promotional company, we'll sit down with your people, we'll smile at them, but we're there to win. If we have to, keep him busy and get him going, we'll get him a fight that makes sense. But Brandon is a real fighter. He's been B-side his whole career. He's not a coddled kid. He's not someone that's been looked after by the promoter. He's not somebody that's been, curated. And that's not to say that some of these kids, have had that their whole experience. But you certainly have nothing in common with Brandon. Keeping it 100%. This is a guy that wasn't looked after, that was matched with Willie Monroe, his 7th fight, when he only had like less than 7 amateur fights. And everything that he's had, he's earned. So we'll keep him busy, but we want to go out there for a B-side and we want to beat your favorite fighter.
Lastly, you just mentioned obviously Conor Benn there. Who you got in the rematch, Eubank or Benn?
Shit. Listen, that's one of the best fights I've seen in the last like 3 or 4 years. Like that was like some rocky shit. Like I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm also a fan. Like I love boxing, I bleed boxing. I just want them, it's so hard too because as a trainer, I worry about these guys, the kind of performance that, and even for Brandon to say we would like to fight the winner of that, like they're leaving a part of themselves in that ring. And if so be it, it ends up being a trilogy because of what happens, then so be it. And then I hope that they go off into retirement and they live a great, blessed life. They've earned it. That last performance was absolutely amazing. It was beautiful. It's something that when you see, you're just like, So I'm not going to sit there and pick. Both those men have a certain heart, a certain sort of integrity, passion that you don't see for everybody that gets in the gym. And shit, man. I mean, I don't know if you were like me, but when we were watching that fight, I was just like, Lawrence was watching it with me. He was just like, oh my God. We're sitting at the edge of our seats, and the shit was unreal. So it's literally a Castillo Corrales type fight. Jorge Arce and Marquez is another one that comes to mind. A real damn, rivalry going on there right there. So I'm rocking with them. Go ahead.
So I was there, and the atmosphere was insane. We were all off our seats. It was, even just when Eubank Sr. got out the cab and everything else, the whole night was like theatrical. Like it was something that British boxing had missed for a while. With Anthony Joshua being gone and Fury and everything else, like that really cemented it. But yeah, like you said, it was just an epic war, really. Eubank got rocked early. They both got hurt. They both, like, you saw Conor's face by the end of it. They were so tough. But I think I got a hunch there will be a trilogy, what you said there. I've got a feeling I'm leaning towards Conor Benn. He was inactive before that fight. He had obviously all the issues before, everything else, but he's had the fight. He's fresh. He's ready to go now.
Yeah, I know some people from their team. I'm not going to shout out. I'll shout out to Pedro. But anyways, it's hard for me not to be biased. But look, what I'm not going to be biased towards is the kind of fight that boxing deserves. That's, like I said, that's a fight for the people. That's a fight for the fans. You're probably better with boxing trilogies in the UK, or the second fight. But I don't remember seeing a rivalry like that.
Do you understand with the dads?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I understand with Eubank's getting there late. There being a bit of bickering going on. Like, no, I'm following the plot line. Don't get me wrong. And then his dad being his dad is just like, intensity. Yeah, no, we're all, you love the sport. You understand exactly what's going on. The sort of awkwardness with the dads. So no, I'm all the way locked in it. But man, it's just a really great fight. If we had fights like that in America more, I think that we would have more American fans. And maybe, I don't know. The British fans are just amazing. I can't say enough about them. Every time I've been out there, they've treated us like royalty. They treat us like gold. We've been fed. We've been, given beer, laughed with, all these great experiences. So, but yeah, that's a hell of a fight.
I do want to touch upon Canelo's obviously had surgery, everything else. What is next? What is the biggest fight in boxing right now? What is next for Canelo, and what's next for Bud?
Yeah, Bud is in a difficult position because he's found himself all of a sudden on top of the totem pole, right? And he's just made a lot of money, the most money that he's ever made in his career. I think Bomac had made a comment that to get Bud back in the ring, it's going to take $100 million. The guy that can make sure that they got that money is Canelo Alvarez. I don't see anybody else that's going to be able to come up there, and unless, of course, the Saudis just want to see it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, for Bud, I mean, he's in the pole position. He's the one that gets to make all the decisions. It's up to Bud. He could be on his legacy shit. The one thing about this, I didn't count Bud out. I sort of said that I thought it was going to be a draw, but the one thing that this fight taught me is never to count Bud out. And so maybe something might make sense for Bud at a bigger guy. I mean, I don't want to say David Benavidez because he's huge, but I don't know, man. Bud appears to be a generational talent. He's definitely cemented his legacy, which it already was, but that he should be one of those fighters. And look, I've already studied a million Bud fights, and if I'm studying your fights, it's because you're studyable and respectable. But I think that when you're looking at Bud's legacy, you're going to look back at it and say that, like, sort of like Brandon too, not a curated guy, come up the hard way, I think Cameron Duncan had signed him because he had asked Mikey Garcia, is there anybody out there that I should look up? And there's, Mikey said there's this guy in the amateurs, goes to Tim Bradley's camp. Tim is saying, hey, why aren't you pushing this guy forward? He definitely came up the hardest ways, and we're seeing him have performances like that. But as far as getting a bag like that, shit, I don't know. They might want to look at the rematch. Canelo, too, is there's 10 fights that are not on the record, according to Canelo. I've talked to him about it personally. He's older. You could see a little bit of age. You could see a little bit of delay. Canelo's going to have to decide whether or not he still wants it. If he still wants to go out and do what he wants to do, he's an incredible fighter. He'll probably beat literally all the young guns out there right now. All these, imagine like Canelo versus Diego Pacheco right now. I don't think Diego's ready for a fight like that. And I like Diego. I think it's just Canelo's experience and so forth. So it's not like this ends for Canelo. I know that he has 2 fights left with the Yarde deal. Where they go to make the kind of money, Conor McGregor, I don't know, Paul. I don't know. There's a lot of goofy shit going on in boxing right now.
Will Canelo ever fight David Benavidez? Obviously, you've been in his camp. I know there's a little bit of animosity between him already, and I have heard myself he's not giving him the fight for certain reasons. It's not because he doesn't want to fight him, but what's your opinion on all that?
It's hard. We're in the same position with Virgil and Rick Maragon, right? Like Rick had said some things that, Brandon Adams basically is never going to get this fight unless Ali and Tyson are fighting, right? So, sometimes camps, there's a lot of pride amongst us, especially in pugilism and boxing, and we get easily irritated with each other. Sometimes we might be looking for an scapegoat or a pass. Sometimes we might not. Canelo fights David Benavidez. Let's be honest about Canelo. How many men has he made millionaires? If not, I think he just made Bud $50 million. I mean, say it for what you want to say. The people at the Raiders Stadium, the overwhelmingly probably 85% of them are there to see Canelo Alvarez. He's making a millionaire that night. If I was in Canelo's position, and maybe I felt slighted or wronged in some ways by, things that came out of the camp, I might not be eager to make you, 50 million, maybe even more, 60. And so I don't know. That's also amongst those guys. It's a hell of a fight. David Benavidez is a huge, huge human being. And let me tell you this. If I could shrink David Benavidez to the same size as Canelo Alvarez, I believe Canelo Alvarez beats him 10 out of 10. But that's not what's happening that night. And if I could make Canelo Alvarez beat, David Benavidez size, then I'm going to go with Canelo Alvarez again. Craft-wise, skill-wise, experience, legacy, amount of Hall of Famers that they face and so on. But that's not what's going on. There's a huge size difference, and there's an aging fighter. So, the team is going to make the decisions strategically as they should. You're dealing with a fighter that's worth over $1 billion. So,
brilliant. Well, thank you for your time, Coach. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.